Is the country viewed by the international community in terms of the drug menace, and how is that also affecting our economic status?
Number one, very negatively. You need to read reports about Ghana, about West Africa, about the world. The United Nations Office of Drug and Crime every year brings out a report, and Ghana features prominently. How many seizures? The case we are dealing with now will appear in next year's report. Yearly, we have this problem. Now, the West African Drug Commission also has report this year. The report of last year is now out this year, and check out where Ghana's position is. All these things are signals that bring some negative kind of perception on us. Number one. Number two. Foreign direct investors who believe that Ghana is not safe to invest will not come because drugs create crime situations, create a whole lot of things, right? So they will not come. International institutions that are ready to help us, the IMF and the World Bank, will take this drug menace as a variable in their calculations as to what the government can do, should do, and cannot do. All these things, including the ordinary way some of us travel, Ghana, then your passport, then they begin to scrutinize you like a criminal. It's not fair. It's not correct. It's not correct. And finally, internally, notice, that is my biggest concern. If this 20-something kilo of 12.5
kilograms.
Yes, 12.5 kilograms of cocaine, we are unable to leave this country, then they must have an outlet in this country. They cannot be lying down. So people will use it in this country. When they use it, we have health implications, we have crime implications, we have socio-psychological, everything. And finally, when the drug barons have gotten their money, they buy me. They buy me in the sense that when I even slap somebody, the police will turn a blind eye. Why? Because they have been bought. Haven't you had occasions in this country where crimes have turned political, or you just have to call somebody above the regional commander for the thing to be stopped? Have you had occasions where Galamsey people have gotten their accoutrements seized and within 24 hours they are back? You know, these are the situations. So we'll get to a situation where the president is not the president, but the drug barons. That is our worry. These are the effects.
Okay, please don't go yet. We still will come back to you. Dr. Ali, do tell me, share your experience with us too. Have you, perchance, gone through any personal experience or probably witnessed anything that could be stemming from a drug menace situation currently?
Yeah, personally, I haven't encountered a specific scrutiny or targeting at any airport based on this particular issue. But I have traveled a lot outside conferences and other stuff. And what happens is that whenever you go there and they ask you where are you from and you say Ghana, the first thing that comes to their mind is the Black Stars, because the Black Stars have made Ghana proud, or Kofi Annan. They tend to look at the positive things that they can associate to the country. But if we allow these drug trade to fester, then the next time you mention your name and where you come from, that is what they are going to bring on board. And this is what we don't want to happen. Because when you are associated to negative things, it affects even the number of countries you can travel to without visa, or the number of countries you can travel to with visa, but without scrutiny. So it is very important that we look at this. Now look at Mexico and other countries where drug barons have taken control of those countries. They have hijacked those particular countries, and state institutions and state personnel becomes irrelevant when it comes to law enforcement. There are places that are declared no-go zone area for state security agencies, simply because it has been controlled by drug barons. And what they do is that they do something that will hurt the image of the country, something that will create fear and panic in the ordinary citizens, so that they go about doing their trade. These particular businesses triumph on conditions of anarchy, not orderliness. So whatever they will do to create that condition to triumph and succeed, they're going to do it. Seriously speaking, there was this case in Mexico where school children were abducted by even police officers and given to drug barons, and they were killed. You will never believe that a police officer would do that. But if they collaborate and work, with law enforcement agencies that will be able to aid them to continue. So we don't want Ghana to turn into this particular country. Ghana has been known for a record of being peaceful, of being democratic, and of being very friendly. As long as we allow Ghana to be used as a transit route or even a sending country for this particular thing, then they will want to create the conditions that will enable them to be successful in this business. And that is not going to be good for Ghana as a country. So when the first important thing is we depoliticizing this issue. There are several perspectives to this issue, but as long as we politicize it, we will fail to see the various aspects, the institutional lapses, the security implications, and all the other implications that are associated to this. But as long as we look at it dispassionately, and as citizens of this particular country, we'll be able to solve this particular problem, and the good image of Ghana will forever fly high.
It felt that the entire West Africa seemed to be becoming a transit point for drugs. Should we be considering a West African force to fight against this, or we haven't gotten there yet?
If it is becoming a sub-regional issue, then I think we can assume a sub-regional perspective or approach to dealing with it. And I believe that the drug trade is now going beyond. It's not just a Ghanaian issue. I think it is a sub-regional issue. And I believe that people within the sub-region, those who matter, will be able to deal with it as and when the issue arises. I believe that Professor Ntwidanso is an expert in this particular area, and he'll be able to speak more to it.
All right, so let's quickly go to Dr. Vladimir Ntwidanso to give us his take on that. Hello, Doc.
Certainly, I agree with my younger brother very much on most of the things that he has mentioned. But let us know that it is a sub-regional issue, it is a regional issue, African issue, and it is a global issue. But that is how the world looks at it. That's why we are the United Nations Office. There's a special office on drug and crime. Now, the West Africa has also gotten a commission. And as I said, the commission's report is available. It's online. And it is very, 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 very disheartening to see Ghana in there. The United Nations Office on Drug and Crime is more comprehensive. Every seizure, which country's national was captured and how many kilograms and what, they are all captured there. The graphs are eloquent descriptions of what happens in each country. And therefore, our authorities should have been able to study this and make it possible for us to nip this in the bud. Look, it is a dangerous thing. If we do not take care, I'm telling you, when the country becomes like Guinea-Bissau, where no government has ever ruled to the end. 2 weeks to the end of the previous government, a coup happened. That was the first time a government was going to end its term successfully. But then a coup happened because the way the elections were going, a better government was coming who had promised to kick against drugs. So we need to be very careful in Ghana. The signs are already there. Today we have contract killings in Ghana. Today we have all kinds of things that didn't used to be part of our political dispensation. So let us be very serious about this thing because it is a big problem. As a regional problem and a sub-regional problem, of course, there are, as I've mentioned the West African Commission already, but there are other organizations that are working towards researching into them and bringing them out. But we need that collective effort in individual countries to be able to stem the tide because they also are globalized. The drug trade is a globalized trade that is worth more than $350 billion a year. And come to think of it, that lady, what was carrying was going to be about not less than $5 million. So you can imagine what a lucrative but risky trade it is. And therefore, anybody who crosses their path, those of us who do some little research into this thing, we are always conscious of what we are able to say. If you do not take care, you cross their path, you are dead. So these are the issues that we are talking about. Let us not politicize the thing. It is as if it is just one of those things, petrol, who increases, who brings it down. Let us be forthright on the issues and be able to nip it in the bud. The future of this country lies in how much we are able to make cocaine an unattractive kind of enterprise in this country.
Could anybody be wrong if that person claimed the parties might be funding their operations partly from drug money?
Sure. sure, drug money is into our politics. Amwati is a classic case. And the judgment is even classic. That he is the state in his area, creating an empire where he is able to do whatever he wants. Not necessarily negative, but for your people. And look at when he was coming from the state, a hero's welcome. That should tell you something. We had an instance in this country where a whole diplomat, big man diplomat, you understand what diplomacy means? Was arrested out there in Switzerland. Diplomatic passport. I mean, we brought him here to try him. We didn't know how that thing ended. Look, we're very careful about this because it's a whole empire. And when they get the money, what do? They have to buy the state in order to be able to operate the empire. And I'm wanting all the way to parliament. Does that not speak of something? So we should be very careful. They must be the people who are sponsoring some other. If you look at how our politics is so monetized, my sister, where am I, a poor lecturer, going to get the things we see around to become an MP? I'm not indicting all MPs. Some of them are sponsored by little donations from little places. Some of them are so genuine. But if you look at the way money is awash during the election, motorbikes bought left and right, and people say they borrow money from here, and then you ask yourself, where is the money coming from? You know, but let us assume that it is not cocaine money. Very soon, the price of politics will keep on going up, and cocaine money must be involved.
Don't go yet, Dr. Inchidan. So, Dr. Alidu, do you think we'll get anywhere with this politicization of the drug usage in the country? If drug money is really into our politics, would we get it to the bottom? Would we ever get to the bottom of it?
If we assume that drug money is being used, then it might be very difficult. But we can make an effort. Because if that is what is used, knowingly or unknowingly, to fund political party activities, and there are no alternative funding mechanisms, then definitely the trade will triumph. And when you come to look at it, in most of these cases, either those people are given diplomatic passports when they are not qualified to have diplomatic passports, or they are given a diplomatic treatment that enables them to be able to do that. So if we go by these instances, then we can even assume that there has been a collaboration between people in power and people who power this particular trade. So if they do that, then it means that there will be some benefit that will accrue to political parties or governments that support and aid people who do these particular activities. So we will have to first of all break that link of collaboration. And how do we break that link of collaboration? It brings back to the fact that political parties must be well resourced so that they are able not to depend on those people who do these things and then fund them. The other thing has to do with the fact that we need political commitment from our government to be able to stand up and fight this particular drug. And that is going to come from pressure from civil society organizations, various stakeholders within the Ghanaian community, and we the voters ourselves. We have to make sure that political parties that can be linked one way or the other to this particular issue must be rejected by the people. The people have to stand up to fight this, because if we are able to prove that they work hand in hand with political parties, those who engage in this trade, then it will become very difficult for us to break that particular chain, unless those who have the power to elect political leaders stand up, and people who matter in this society stand up, so that we are able to do that. I agree with Professor Inchidan, so that if we don't take this up as individuals and we allow this trade to fester and prosper in this country, we are going to be those who bear the brunt of any other thing that comes from that particular illegality. So we should stand up. We should not leave this to governments alone. Governments may not have the political will to fight it, especially if they are beneficiaries. We will have to take this up, and it must start from now as people.
Okay, Dr. Inchidan, so the British High Commissioner John Benjamin actually has confirmed that Ghana did not play any role in the arrest of the lady in question involved in the drug peddling, Nayeli Amatepe. And so moving forward, how should the constitution, the organization of NACOB look like?
It was very unfortunate that as soon as it happened, we rushed to believe as if we had that institutional cooperation with the British authorities, which should be the case anyway. Since 2006, we have been collaborating. But around 2010 or so, we said those gadgets at the airport spoiled or whatever it is, and I don't know the details of that. But you see, if there was no institutional collaboration, why did we try to show our institutional weakness, rather? Because the drug traffickers are always on top of the game. Because of corruption which they exploit, it gives rise to institutional weakness. And Nayele's case has demonstrated strongly that there was an institutional weakness within our country. That's number one. Whether passport or whatever it is, if we were very active, how can a Ghanaian be traveling with another national passport and we allowed her going in, whatever it is, using VVIP and that kind of thing. So he was forthright in saying that, hey guys, you were not part of it. And that again is a disgrace to our part of the world. And so as he stated again, you see, or let me restate what he wanted to say. If we try to overstate the role being played by state institutions, what we are doing is to obscure the complexities of the drug business in Ghana. And that is what the government is doing, and I'm very much worried. We are overstating some kind of extremism. We are not part, the drug trade is not part of our business. We then obscure the complexities, as the opposition also takes it up. So we were not part of what happened. They were following their drugs, whatever it is. And one of the things we can do is to collaborate with them, the U.S., the British Western authorities, who are more interested in nipping it in there because they are the end of users or whatever it is. So they are more active. So why can't we meet them halfway? It was a very worrying situation when we got to know that we didn't take any part.
Doctor, don't go yet. Let me come to you, Dr. Alidu. What do you also think? The same question to you.
Please, can you repeat the question?
I'm asking, the British High Commissioner actually has confirmed that Ghana did not play any role in arresting the lady who peddled 12.5 kilograms of cocaine to the UK. How do you think NACOB organization should look like moving on?
Yeah, I think there has been that collaboration between those two institutions. And according to what I have read, the idea is that if the NACOB suspects that somebody is going to traffic drugs, what they do is that they arrest them here, even before they get to Britain. But this wasn't done. But their press conference, I don't know what informed it, but from the British part, it was like taking away the glory of a huge bust that they have achieved, the success that they have achieved. Ghana was either trying to buy into that glory, one, or two, we were trying to hide the lapses that occurred here, and that propelled Amatepe to be able to traffic that particular drug to Britain. Henceforth, we are going to be very suspicious of what NACOB says as an institution, because this particular case has exposed their attempt to either hide their own weaknesses as an institution in dealing with the drug trade in Ghana, or two, they are one way or the other involved in what happened and they wanted to hide their weaknesses. As an institution, as a country, that is why we all say we should depoliticize this issue. If we don't take politics out of this issue, we will not be able to address these fundamental challenges that we face. What is this NACOB board doing? NACOB as an institution, what are they doing? The securities that we have at the Kotoka International Airport, what are they doing? Because we can only get to the bottom of this. And what needs to be done? What are their challenges? We can only address these key issues when we take politics out of it. Whether you are in opposition or you are in government,
the image of this country will haunt you wherever you go. And as long as we politicize it, we are going to turn it into the same politics of equalization. Which particular government or which particular party's tenure did we have more cocaine cases than the other? Then this whole thing becomes political issue. And once we start riding on the wings of politics, we fail to see the reality on the ground. And that is why we will have to disembark and be very careful, crucial, in examining the factors, which is increasingly making Ghana an incentive, an attractive point for people who want to engage in this particular activity. If we are able to get the incentive, then we can try one way or the other to do away with them, so that it becomes unattractive for people to do their trade using Ghana as a route. But if we bring in that particular element of politics, we are not only going to miss the reality, but we are going to create a huge wedge between our foreign intelligence counterpart that we have been working with. And once we become an unreliable, distrustful partner, nobody will want to share intelligence with the Ghanaian counterpart, no matter how crucial or vital it is. So our credibility, not only as a country, but as a security institution, is at stake. And we have to do everything that we can as a country to redeem the image and the trust and confidence that has been reposed on this country and our institutions as a collaborative partner.
Finally, so who do you suggest should make part of the NACOP composition?
I agree with my senior colleague when he said that
It should be made an authority. Once it becomes an authority, then it has the power to be able to act without government interference. Once it becomes an authority, we make sure that people who serve in that board have the requisite knowledge, they have the expertise to be able to handle it, so that we try as much as possible to depoliticize it. We don't allow government to appoint people into this particular institution. Even if government is going to be appointed, it should be very limited. Majority of the people who work with these institutions must have the requisite expertise and the requisite autonomous power to be able to single-handedly deal with issues without government interference. When we do that, there will be continuity in activities and there will be institutional memory. That means they will forever serve which government comes to power, other than allowing it to be manipulated by politicians and they reconstitute the new board when a new government comes into power, or when these particular members of the board don't act in ways that serve the political interests of their appointee, those who have appointed them. So the first step is to empowering those institutions, and we can only empower them when we make them authority. And the second has to do with the fact that we appoint competent people who are dedicated to this service, to serve, rather than picking people who have voted or contributed one way or the other to the fortunes of a political party. There are several ways we can do, but this is the best way we can start as a country.
Thank you so much. Dr. Andrew Danso, if you're still there, yes, we need competent, efficient, committed people to make an authority, NACOP an authority. But what should the mode of appointments be like?
I want the board to be turned into either a commission or an authority. As a commission, it's got to be away from under the Ministry of Interior. The budget for the Ministry of Interior is so insignificant that NACOP alone should be able to absorb that kind of budget. But when it is an authority and commission, it has its own budgetary allocations. It has a duty to source its own funding and whatever they want. If that is the structure, then appointments to that place would be by qualification. It is advertised, we want the director of whatever it is, and these are the qualifications. Then under him, all the other professionals. All right? And then they can work independent of government. Look, the report I was talking about, the West African report, I was looking for it when your question came. I said, let me look for it. A drug user was interviewed in Nigeria. And this is what he told the commission, the West African Commission on Drugs. And I quote him, I don't trust the government anymore. They have joined forces with these criminals. You regularly see government officials taking their own share of the loot. They exploit us and take their share. We see everything. We know them. This is not a perception. This is a drug user who is part of the trade, the links, and he's saying this. When you have such a situation and you ask the same government to appoint people, what are you telling me? So I want it to be an autonomous, but when I was coming to Legon, there was an advert. Or if there was not an advert at all, I applied. I told them I have a PhD, I want XYZ, can I come? They interviewed me, they found me qualified, and I'm teaching here. This is the type of thing I want. So government has absolutely no hand over that kind of commission or authority.
Morning, Dr. Vladimir Enchidan. So he is a senior research fellow at the Legon Center for International Affairs and Diplomacy. And we also did have Dr. Ali Seidu. He is a political science lecturer with the Political Science Department, Legon, University of Ghana. So they joined us this morning to share their thoughts with us here. Let's take a short break here. When we come back, we do just a few more and then we wrap up. All right, so this morning on News Desk, if you missed, don't worry, you catch another edition on midday. This morning we did go through the state confirmation by the British High Commissioner John Benjamin, who actually says that Ghana and the cocaine saga, that Ghana did not play any role in arresting Nayeli Ametepe, who carried 12.5 kilograms of cocaine with her to the UK. She was never caught in Ghana. She really boarded her flight and landed at the Heathrow Airport, where she was unfortunately arrested. Well, I would say unfortunately. Well, so, and the British High Commissioner also did raise a number of issues concerning our government. We did go through that, and we also were joined by a senior research fellow at the University of Ghana, Dr. Vladimir Enchidan, who actually says that we need a lot of commitment as a government to be able to fight this cocaine menace. And also, we also had Dr. Ali Seidu, a senior lecturer at the University Political Science Department, who also believes that government should fight off the cocaine with a lot of commitment. And moving on, both doctors believe and agree that NACOP formation should be an independent body, an autonomous body, an authority, or probably a commission that government has no direct hand in, so we can be able to fight off the drug menace, because for them, government seems to have a role, play a part in this cocaine business, and probably their political parties are funded by some cocaine money. Well, so they have been talking about that. At midday, we'll bring you more news from the Parliament House, what is happening around in the country, and we'll take you to Togo, where there's a number of issues happening right there. We'll bring you the details right here on Joy News. But in the meanwhile, for more news, you can log on to myjoyonline.com for more updates, for more information, for more news items, right at myjoyonline.com. My name, once again, is Gladys Osei Oredu, and I brought you News Desk this morning. Join us again at midday for News Today. Thank you so much for your time.